afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. As introduced, I'm Eryca Freemantle. I am of Jamaican parentage. However, I went to Nigeria the first time 12 years ago, and I've been 55 times since then. For me, I found home. And what I mean by that is I'm going to speak about property, which is one of my specialist areas, but I'm going to speak about it from my parents' perspective. So my parents came to the UK on the Windrush 62 years ago, and they came for 5 years. That was the plan. They came with the view to stay in the UK for 5 years and then go back and build Buckingham Palace of their own. As I said, 62 years later, they're still here. I often look at my parents and I really feel sorry for them because they never ever got to fulfill their dreams by way of going back home and building that Buckingham Palace. When I think I was about 17, my father was a builder and he was looking for a secretary. I couldn't type. Secretary, I'm not talking about PA, so I'll show you my age. He was looking for a secretary, and I really did enjoy going to school. I was actually bullied extremely badly at school, and I hated school. I hated being around girls because girls treated me really badly. I have 5 brothers, I'm the only girl, so I'm very used to being around men. So my dad said that he was looking for a secretary to type one of his estimates for one of the building jobs that he was doing. He was a builder back in Jamaica. So I typed what I thought was a really good estimate for some work to be done for a property in Brixton that was going to be done up. It's on Brading Road in Brixton Hill, I'll never forget. The person painted the house. They bought it for 16,000, this is a long time ago, £16,000. They painted the house. Within 3 months, they sold it for £21,000. I was 17, and that got me thinking. I was not the brightest girl in the class, but it got me thinking. And I said, Dad, if this lady who was not able to read or write could buy a house for 16,000 and sell it for 21, why can't we do it? And my dad said, I haven't got a clue. I don't know anything about property. I just know how to fix the roof, the guttering, the electrics, blah, blah. So I said, Dad, let's try. So we bought our first flat in Brixton, I'm from South London, Christchurch Road for £11,000. So again, this is 1982, 83. As it's been said, I've been doing property for 35 years. So we bought that property for £11,000, and then we bought another one, then we bought another one. People will always want to live somewhere, regardless. We didn't have a strategy. It was just, you'd have father and son. Well, it was father and daughter. And we just knew that by buying a property and doing it up, putting a kitchen, making it decent, making it clean, would be good enough for people to want to live in. But one thing that we definitely wanted to do was cater for our own community. When my parents came from the Caribbean, they shared a house, and I call it the original rent-to-rent. They shared a house with 15, 16 other people, sometimes up to 10 people in one room, paying the landlord, I think it was £5 a week back in those days. So I used that same formula moving forward, and I said to Dad, why don't we cater for and this was 80s, 90s, why don't we cater for the community? Anyway, over the years, we ended up buying over 100 properties within the family, and we were landlords, unplanned landlords and landladies. It went really well. As I said, I didn't have an economic background at all. But then the first recession came about in the 80s. I don't know if many of you remember that. We didn't have a plan. We just know that the interest rates went up to 16, 17%. If you bear that in mind in comparison to now, 15% the interest rates. Now, in those days, it was really easy to get a mortgage. You just had to breathe, and you got a mortgage. It was really easy. However, like anything in life, anyone can acquire something, but it's maintaining it. And what we found is that we didn't have a strategy, we didn't have a plan. So we lost a lot of properties because we could not pay, no matter how many people we put in a room. And this is before all the regulations. Anyway, we managed to hang on to quite a lot of properties. And then we went through to the 90s. They say every 7 years there's a hit. So we did that, we came through, went through the 90s, we bought more properties. But then, as we approached the noughties, this thing came into play called buy-to-let. So the mortgages became harder to get and there was a different format. But I'm a great believer, going back to what you said at the beginning, where do you start? You start at the beginning. My beginning was my parents' journey. I can't know everything, I don't know everything, but I employ people that do know what they're supposed to do. I found that doing property can be very, very strenuous, but there are other people out there looking for employment. There are other people that specialize in different areas. Pay them to come on board and learn from them if need be. So now we are obviously going to hit another decade, and I have a daughter. My daughter's 30 years old. And when she was 15 years old, I said to her, I'd love for her to do property. She said, Mum, I'm not interested. I see the stress that you go through. I see people calling you in the middle of the night. No, Mum, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Well, moving forward, my daughter now works for one of the biggest companies in the world. She works for Sotheby's. But what she did do was learn from me, without me realizing. She heard the conversations that took place and she digested that. What has that got to do living beyond your wealth? I'm 55 years old now. I was 55 on last Monday. And I happen to be in Lagos, Nigeria, my home. Now, living beyond your wealth, it doesn't for me matter how much money you make or don't make, you have to be healthy. You have to have a peace of mind. And more importantly, you have to surround yourself with people of like-mindedness. What I found is that when I was building my wealth, my portfolio, I wasn't pre-warned. There was no one there to hold my hand because I'm first generation. There was no one there to tell us about the sharks and the people that are out there ready to jump on your back. So what I've done now is I've built my network beyond my own capabilities, beyond my own comprehension. I didn't realize what I'd done. There's one gentleman that I took on board as I'm a mentor. I mentor people in property. And when I trained him to acquire property, the last time I spoke to him, he had 300. I haven't spoken to him for 5 years. And I'm stood here really proud with tears in my eyes. He's got 950 properties. He's 52 years old. He's an African young man doing really, really well. So what I'm trying to say here is the impact that we as people can have on other people's lives. My father didn't realize the impact that he had on me. When I sit down and I hear their stories of their journeys and them coming from the Caribbean. I took my mother to Lagos, Nigeria 2 years ago, and she cried. And the reason why she cried is because she said that she didn't know that people of color could live like this in the world, much less in Africa. I mean, obviously, Africa's a continent and there are over 50 countries, and I took her to Nigeria. But what I'm saying to you is that as much as we're all sat here in the room, it's really important that we tell our stories and we share our stories. As Monica said, we met, I didn't realize it was that long ago. But with the last time I saw you was Lagos 2 years ago in the store. Yeah, everyone in the store. And, we had a quick conversation and she asked if we can keep in contact. And she called me. I was in Lagos 3 days ago. And she asked me to come along, and then she asked me to speak, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to speak about, but the only thing I can speak about is my truth, my journey. I'm just an ordinary girl whose parents came here with a wish, here as in the UK, and aspirations and dreams. They couldn't fulfill their dreams for whatever reasons, but I'd like to believe that I've made them proud, and I've done my bit for them as a daughter. And also the legacy is going home and finding my ancestors and finding my sisters and my brothers and believing and knowing that I too can achieve we too can achieve anything that we want. And on that note, I'd like to say that I'm very proud of my best friend in Nigeria, Moa Budu. If you don't know her, please Google her. She's just opened the biggest cinema, the best cinema, I wouldn't say the biggest, hotel and spa in Lagos. She started building it 18 months ago. She completed last Friday, that's why I was there. So I'm a great believer in that. If you surround yourself with people that are doing it, but doing it well, it can only but rub off onto you. So that's me talking about living beyond my wealth. It's not all about the money. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you. I hope that was okay, Monica.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
What a day it's been. How amazing has it been? I'm tired, but at the same time excited at the possibilities. It's gone so well, better than I expected, and everyone is really engaged. Everyone was engaged and wanting to take the next action. So now I'm looking forward to evaluating the event, because it's important to always learn from how things have gone and to improve it for next year. So I'm looking forward to welcoming you next year and for you to just join in, and let's live beyond wealth and let's give back and make the lives of other people better as well.